I'm just really wondering if I've actually been seeing some good shit, but maybe it's not because I don't know. I'm just really not sure at this point what to actually think. But let me just tell you, I don't think I'm seeing the best of things come together. It's just, I'm going to be real with you. When I heard of news about Russia actually releasing an onslaught against Ukraine, I'd actually think that the world would be shocked. Well, the world is shocked because Putin doesn't really stop what he's doing. All right? Look, people don't like Putin. People don't like what he's been up to. It's just that you would think that the most notable of people would actually condemn it immediately as the second happens, but that's not exactly what happens. Because I've seen a bit of a sneak peek as to what Trump was doing during the very seconds that it was happening, and let me tell you, it's going to be the most inappropriate shit that you would actually find, and I promise you, you are going to seethe. I am going to tell you, you are going to seethe. This is my watch later. Asmongold had to say something about that shit. You guys have to see it for yourself.
The helicopter carrying Putin became the target of a Ukrainian drone attack. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the peace talks aren't working. Putin's helicopter fended off a drone attack.
Well, they fended off a drone attack, sure. Well, Putin is actually supposed to be really feeling Putin actually just telling him, hey, you stayed strong, that's what's important. You actually protected yourself.
Trump, I believe Russia wants peace. Russia. I mean, I don't really know what to say. What is this? My friend being, there's no way this is.
And then, we'll see.
No.
What is this? No. Always said golf can be a dangerous sport. My friend being hit at Bedminster. This is the shit that happens when you actually expect Trump's response. Well, not exactly response. His communique at the actual second it happens, bro.
No, he didn't.
You would actually think that it would actually be very, very mature. But here's the problem with that. There's no sense of maturity with this shit. There's no sense of maturity here. If you're really just trying to find that sense of maturity, I believe you'll be very disappointed.
I always said golf can be a dangerous sport. My friend being bit. Bro, there's like an assassination attempt on Vladimir Putin, and he's posting pictures of a goose biting a dude's dick while Putin is killing Ukrainians and conducting massive missile and drone attacks, and the whole world is waiting for Trump's response. The United States president posts a picture of his friend getting his dick bit by a swan.
Ukraine's just trying to retaliate against a man who's actually destroying even civilian targets, and then this is what Trump was actually doing. He didn't even freaking know that it was actually happening. Or maybe, look, I don't know if I should judge the guy, but at the same time, I'm not sure. Okay, even I'm not sure about this shit, dude. But at the same time, it's inappropriate. At that time, it's inappropriate. Maybe he should remove that post from Truth Social. But if he's actually going to really care about what Putin is doing, or if he actually feels that Putin is, I'm just saying, okay.
While they're playing golf. Geese are mean as fuck. It's like you can't AI generate a ridiculous photo of Donald Trump because he'll end up doing it. Just do it anyway. It's like you don't need to AI generate Trump at McDonald's. He just did it.
He's gone.
Look, Ukraine is just going through it, and it is just something, and we all accept it. We all have to accept it somehow. But let's just be real. Oh, man, I don't know. I absolutely do not know. Look, let's just go to the next one, and this is from Al Jazeera. Look, the conflict still isn't stopping. And there really just has to be a pause somewhere. There are pauses, sure. But the problem is, are they actually enough? Are the pauses actually enough at this point? I don't think so. I freaking do not think that there is going to be any type of long-term ceasefires, considering that Ukraine is just trying to defend themselves and Russia just keeps pummeling them to nothing. All to make sure that Russia is going to flex to the rest of the world, to Europe, and you know the drill that they're going to do, okay? They just want to show their big boy crotch. They just want to show their big boy crotch, and they're just going to say booyah. They're actually going to say booyah, and it's just how they are going to operate, okay? It's just sad, really.
Absolutely crazy. Those are the words of the US President Donald Trump as he rebukes Vladimir Putin after another weekend of Russian missile and drone attacks on Ukraine. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched a record number of drones on Sunday. The attack was the largest of the war in terms of weapons fired, although other strikes have killed more people.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Let's just be really clear, Donald Trump. I'm glad you actually feel this way. Biden is feeling every freaking bit of it every time during his presidency. But let me tell you, Putin doesn't play by anyone's rules, okay? Unfortunately, we've come to the point in which he just doesn't want to freaking listen. Vladimir Putin just doesn't want to talk. He wants to claim by conquest. So basically, the negotiations are just not going anywhere. That's pretty much the message that Putin is sending. It's not going to go anywhere unless it goes our way. And since Ukraine is still saying no to it, they will keep pummeling Ukraine until they're dust, okay?
And John Hendren is standing by for us in the capital, Kyiv. But first, let's talk to Dorsa Jabari. She's in the Russian capital, Moscow. Now, Dorsa, we just heard that Trump says Putin is absolutely crazy and that the US is considering more sanctions. How is Moscow likely to react to this?
Well, I don't think we're going to get a very strong reaction from officials here. In the past, the rhetoric has been one that sanctions don't really have an impact on the Russian economy, and this country has been able to withstand the unprecedented amount of international sanctions it's come under since it's launched the war in Ukraine in February of 2022. But this latest comment by the U.S. President Donald Trump about Putin's state of mind is likely to be dismissed as rhetoric. It's not going to be taken very seriously. What is clear is that President Putin's desire not to aggravate President Donald Trump has now taken a backseat to his number one goal in this war in Ukraine, and that is to secure a strong victory for Russia. So really, things...
Basically, Putin just does not care if Trump is happy or not. He just cares, first of all, if he just really cares about actually getting what's his. And my God, Putin is actually delivering on this shit. But this is the concern I don't like to actually show, dude. This is actually just a concern that I do not like to show every time. But here we are. It absolutely sucks. It absolutely sucks. I don't like it. We never liked it. But this is the type of thing that we're going to be expecting. We're going to be expecting for a while, especially when it comes to what Putin is actually doing, what Putin's plans are in Europe. For Pete's sake. I mean, I'm just going to say that Ukraine's part of Europe. Okay, Ukraine is just appealing very much to Europe. Very good. Okay, what Ukraine is doing is they've been actually appealing to Europe. Okay, just with the U.S. right now, they're strained because the United States has really just come into a different administration. So just it's a really, really uncertain and insecure time for Kyiv. What I'd really just like to see is less of a fight, more of a dialogue. But if one side is not willing to talk, then damn. No side is going to be talking. It just goes. It just continues. And you see what Putin is doing. He's just showing massive firepower as much as possible. Ukraine's trying to hang on, but without support from the United States, without visible support from the United States, and only getting support from Europe. We don't know how long Ukraine is going to last, but considering that Ukraine's lines are actually falling, well, probably not so long. And it's going to be sad. It's really going to be sad.
Appearing to be moving very quickly and shifting politically, as we're seeing over the past few days, with Russia launching unprecedented number of attacks across Ukraine. Of course, all this comes as U.S. President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin held a phone conversation earlier this month for about 2 hours. And during that conversation, Vladimir Putin said, following that call, that there was an understanding and that Russia will work on a memorandum to continue the discussions with Ukraine about a possible ceasefire. But clearly, the reality on the ground is providing evidence that things are moving in the opposite direction, and that
Basically, Putin is saying, we will work on something, and then sometime later he launches rockets. Basically, this is just a middle finger and a message to Trump saying, I don't give a fuck what you want. I just want what I want. Basically, Putin's asking for it.
is what is frustrating U.S. President Donald Trump at the moment.
OK, Dorset, many thanks indeed. Let's now go to John, who's in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Now, Russia's massive air assault, it's come right off the back of one of the largest prisoner exchanges seen between the two sides in this war. Very mixed signals from Moscow. As Dorset says, things shifting politically very rapidly. What do you think happens next?
Well, in a phrase, more Russian drones is what we are likely to see. That massive attack over the weekend, just on Sunday alone, there were 298 drones, 69 missiles. We have some reports that the drones are flying at elevations that are high to be shot down by some of the anti-aircraft equipment here. And that lit up the sky here in the capital of Kyiv. Why are they attacking the capital? Well, there are only a couple of reasons to do that. One is to strike the command and control here in the capital. The other one is to instill a sense of terror and futility in the civilian population. Kyiv, after all, is hours' drive from the Eastern Front or the Southern Front. That's where the ground fighting is happening. And we're a report in The Economist now that says that the Russians are amping up their ability to make the Shahid drones that they use so frequently. That they used to make 300 in a month. Now it takes 3 days to make that. And there are reports that they are targeting making 500 a day. That happens.
I don't know if Trump is ever going to change anything. I don't know if Trump is ever going to change really just anything. Even if he thinks that he's friends with the Russian, it's just that he will be able to influence how the conflict will end. And considering what the things that Ukraine has done, they were trying to assassinate Vladimir Putin in his helicopter, and then Putin actually does retaliation of the rocket strike or something. I'm not sure who's it, but it's still war. It is still war. We don't like it. We are just trying to find a better way to actually just see a solution that is peaceful. But If a leader of a nation says that he will make a memorandum and then just shuts it all down by actually attacking the weaker nation in the conflict anyway, that's not just breaking the word. That's absolutely making sure that he does not care. The leader in this case, Putin, does not care. There's no question to that.
As Ukraine's anti-aircraft capability is being depleted, all the munitions that they use to shoot those down. One of the reasons that Russia swarms an area with all of those projectiles is to try to break through and deplete the anti-aircraft. And it's working as Ukraine worries about getting resupplied from Europe and from the United States, and as it presses for sanctions, Russia is pressing harder with continued drone attacks. We saw 13 regions hit overnight, including Odessa, Kyiv, and Kharkiv. That happened as Ukraine also was reportedly launching a massive drone strike against Russia as well. That closed the airports there. But Putin is pressing forward with an aggressive, increasing air campaign, apparently because he thinks he's winning.
Okay, that's John Hendren joining us now with all the very latest from Kyiv. John, many thanks.
Make sure to.
I'll just be very, very real at this, and I don't like how it's all turning out. What I believe is actually going to happen is that this will continue on to the point that if there would ever be peace talks, Volodymyr Zelensky will still not surrender. He's not considered a terrorist, but he is a considered leader who is hardened, toughened after all this time, and Putin's just flexing. If there's one thing I hate about this situation is that Putin claims that he will be making steps to actually provide course for peace, and then he just goes ahead and slaps the other person during the peace talks. And then exactly what I'm actually talking about here. It's just bad, bro. It's just absolutely horrible. Absolutely uncalled for. You would think that he would be more mature, but nah. All I just see right there is an actual bully. If I don't see him as a bully, if you don't see him as a bully, then what is he? He's probably that monster underneath everyone's beds. Probably. Yeah.